Hello, it's Rosin. I'm here today with a kind of out of the ordinary video, at least in terms of the usual content I make and what goes up on this channel. So, ever since just to provide some context for everyone, because I'm sure there's quite a few confused people. Ever since I got done with school, I've kind of been going through this phase where I've just kind of been poking around and exploring different activities, hobbies, pastimes, that sort of thing. Just now that I have more free time, more money, that sort of thing, been working for a little bit now. Just to kind of see if there's anything that I really enjoyed that I've missed out on, either just because I didn't have the time or money or energy or all of the above before, with school and all that. And one thing that I actually got into recently that I've enjoyed a lot more than I ever thought I would, was gunpla building. So for those unfamiliar, Gundam is a popular anime franchise, and a big part of the franchise are these little plastic metal kits, and that's where the term gunpla comes from. It's a portmanteau, I believe is the proper term for that, but it's a mix of the terms Gundam and plastic model kit, so gunpla when you shorten it. And yeah, you can buy these kits. They're actually fairly cheap, and I'm actually going to link to everything that I bought for this video and for future videos below in the description if you want to check it out. And I was actually just kind of surprised at how accessible and fun it is to get into this sort of thing. I never really cared much for the merchandise element of Gundam before. I always kind of laughed at it a little bit and was like, who buys these things, sort of thing. But hey, I'm eating all the crow I am right now, because I actually tried it out, and it's a lot of fun putting these things together, and I wanted to do some video type stuff with it, but I didn't want to do a video review just because I'm so inexperienced with this whole thing. And to be honest, there's a lot of really great Gunpla reviewers right now on YouTube. There's a bunch of them. If you ever are curious about buying a Gunpla model kit, just go on YouTube, and I'm sure there's at least one review for the kit done by someone who probably knows what they're talking about, at least more than I do. So yeah, that's actually really cool. It has a really nice community to it, at least from what I've been exposed to so far. It's been pretty neat, kind of seeing how they work and, the types of content they put out. So I thought, geez, I don't want to make these in-depth reviews because I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. So I decided to kind of do a thing where I'm gonna kind of just chronicle my building experience with a bunch of these different kits. And I thought that it'd be kind of a nice way for me to just show off these kits that I've been building and kind of my process going through them and learning how to, properly put together these things. Because, your first few kits, people often say you're probably not going to be super happy with. It's easy to mess up and that sort of thing. So kind of just showing the process of getting better at the skills you need to make these kits look better and better every time you build one. And also just giving me an excuse to reminisce about different Gundam shows that I've watched in the past, and kind of my experience with that, what it's meant to me throughout various points of my life, not only just about the kits, but also kind of the media that it comes from and kind of what it means to me, that sort of thing. So hey, if you're on board for that, then this is the perfect video series for you. Thought it'd be kind of different compared to what other Gunpla YouTubers are doing. If you want more detailed reviews and kind of a more traditional thing here, you're not going to get it here. I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, honestly. I am the most amateur you could possibly get with this sort of thing, so. But enough about that, let's get on with the actual building. So, this is the first Gunpla kit I've ever built. It's a HG Gundam Barbatos first form, also can turn into the fourth form, and actually I like the fourth form more, so I went the extra mile and included all those parts on, so when you see it at the end, it's going to be in fourth form. Now, when you open your kit, you're going to see a bunch of these different plastic sheets with different parts connected to them. These are called runners. I've heard them referred to by a few other names, but runners seems to be the most common. Each sheet, each sheet is its own color, and then you're going to snip these out with little hobby cutter snippers, and you'll then assemble them. You can see also right there in that bag there's a little sheet of foil stickers that you can slap on for some extra detail, extra color, that sort of thing. There's the instruction manual, as you can kind of catch a glimpse of it right there. It's all in Japanese, but all of the actual assembly important bits of it are all in just regular old picture form. So you don't need to understand Japanese at all. I have no knowledge of Japanese as a language, you know, and I was able to assemble this thing no problem. So don't worry about that if you're worried about it. Though it would be nice if it wasn't English, but hey, we're not the primary demographic for this sort of thing, so I can't blame them. Now, here actually is a little bit of a beginner kit that I bought off of Amazon. Like I said, I'm going to link to this cutting mat, this kit, and then also this little beginner box here. And also, I still have no idea what that yellow thing is for. Like, to this day, I don't get the purpose of that. But I'll link to all of this in the description so you can buy it off of Amazon if you want to just use the stuff I'm using, which I recommend. I haven't had any problems with it so far. There's the snippers. The thing I had before in my hand was the little hobby knife that you're going to be using for clearing out some of the nub marks, as they're called. When you cut out each of these parts, there's obviously going to be a little bit of excess plastic from where it connects to the runner. And you can either sand that down with those sanding sticks that I pulled out, or with the hobby knife. I actually prefer the hobby knife just because I don't paint my kits. Some people like to paint them, and actually it's a fairly common practice where people do more detailing work with painting and that sort of thing, but I just assemble them as is. I don't do any extra painting or anything like that. But yeah, those excess nub marks, you want to sand them down or cut off as much of the excess as possible with the hobby knife. I don't sand just because it scratches it up, and if you're not painting after, those scratch marks are very visible. So I just stick with the hobby knife for that. But yeah, one thing I do want to point out is so I've recorded 3 of these videos. Oh, also those are Gundam markers, which are used for panel lining, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So I'm still experimenting with how exactly I want my camera layout to go. As you can see, I'm not exactly catching all of the action. I included a little bit more of the basic assembly in this first video. I already have 3 of these recorded, by the way, and I didn't start playing around with camera setup and tripod placement and, you know, camera angle until that 3rd video. So it might be a little funny, a lot of off-screen or slightly off-screen action going on, but bear with me. I'm still kind of playing around with what works, what doesn't work, that sort of thing. I'm more used to editing video game footage and not worrying about a physical recording camera, so. Oh, yeah, I think I just tried showing something to the camera, and it just totally... I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, because I didn't look to see if it was actually being caught by the camera. There you can see me trying to remove some of the excess plastic from the little bit that was connected to the runner. Now, one thing that I do have to kind of make fun of myself here for a second. So this is actually part of a inner frame, so all of this is going to be covered by external armor. So I'm removing these marks for basically no reason, because no one's ever going to see this part of the Gundam model kit when it's all said and done. That being said, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing for this first kit, so, you know, I immediately, first thing was like, oh yeah, I gotta remove all the different num marks, because that's what they tell you to do online. And then there's a point somewhere along this process where I got a little too excited, just you know, a little too, quick on my feet with assembling this thing, and I kind of forgot to do some nub mark removal. So sure enough, I removed a lot of nubs from the internal part of the kit, but then when I got to the external part, there's some visible markings where I clearly didn't, you know, cut things or trim things down with my hobby knife, so that's unfortunate. But in terms of, let's just talk a little bit about the actual Gundam Barbatos itself. I haven't finished Iron-Blooded Orphans yet. I've been kind of slow on watching that. I have really enjoyed what I've seen so far, though. You can see me trying to figure out how to put these pieces together. There we go. Yeah. One small step for man. One giant leap for wasting money on a new fun hobby. But yeah, back to Iron-Blooded Orphans. So, Been enjoying it so far from what I've seen. I really like the Barbatos' design a lot, and I kind of just chose this kit based off of that for one, and also two, it's really cheap because it's more recent and in production. And also two, from what I understand, the like the titular Gundam, or like the main Gundam of every series, tends to be fairly accessible in terms of building, so I went with this one just because I thought it was a good place to start. And you can see me assembling the head there. I just assembled the waist. Head was honestly the first thing that gave me problems, and it's just because it's so fucking tiny. Look at that thing. It looks really great. Also, the eyes, the black and green of the eyes are just a sticker that wraps around. I was kind of surprised. Because from far away, it kind of looks like it would be like a piece or something, but no, it's just a really detailed sticker, so that's interesting. But yeah, that head was the first thing that gave me issues, just because it's so small, and kind of forcing it all together was a little tricky for me, but from there, I kind of got used to it. You can see me playing around with what I think that's the arm. See, that's the other thing. So, my camera placement, you know, half of the action is off screen, and then the other part of it is that my hands just get in the way of me putting things together, because my hands are fucking massive, I guess, so. But yeah, there's the arm. You can see me kind of playing around with it right there. One thing that I kind of think is a shame is, I know a lot of people think Iron-Blooded Orphans as a show is just a little too slow for their taste. I don't know, man, just one thing that actually always I disliked about older Gundam series is the need to have a fight every episode. I kind of like that Iron-Blooded Orphans takes its time. Now, just to talk about this, you can see me getting into the panel lining here. Now, you take these markers, and what these basically do is they have very fine tips, so you can go into different crevices, or different panel lines as they're called, and kind of accentuate them with some color. And also, too, you can see what I did. I dirtied up the vents a little bit. I added just a little bit of gray, and then with a Q-tip just fuzzed it up. And also you can kind of see the inner frame coming through the back there. It's actually one thing that's cool about the Iron-Blooded Orphans kits is more of the inner frame pokes out, and from what I understand, other kits, the inner parts of the Gundam are not as detailed as these ones are, so that's neat. But yeah, you can go through with markers, and then the Gundam markers, and also make sure you get the ultra fine tip, not just regular Gundam markers, or else it's a thicker tip. You can't really panel line with them that good. And you just go through the lines. It accentuates them more with some darker color, and then you can actually just use a Hi-Polymer eraser like that and just clean strokes over the line. And any excess marker paint that gets outside of the crevice will just be cleaned up right away. Or if you want to use a Q-tip, you can also kind of dirty up the marking a little bit so it looks more like it's, I don't want to say weathered because that's a different thing, but you kind of can fog it up a little bit, the marker paint. So you have a lot of options. I can't tell what I'm making there. I think that's one of the legs. Yeah, it's one of the legs. I think the legs gave me a little bit of trouble too. Oh, you know what I'm doing? I'm putting on one of the foil stickers. So that's actually one thing I really need to work on, is my sticker placement, which you would think would be really easy because it's a fucking sticker, you know? Like we've been practicing at sticker placement since we were what, 4 years old. But putting the sticker on the knee there was actually really tricky for me. There's a little crevice where that goes into. And you can see these black stickers on the side of the knee there. Also, too, I put on a little rough. I know that a lot of people in the Gunpla community just don't like stickers whatsoever. They think they look like crap. And I can kind of see where they're coming from, to be honest with you. But also, too, I don't want to just outright say, oh, stickers are bad, because I also... I basically know that I kind of just sucked at putting them on this first kit. I thankfully only destroyed one sticker. I was trying to put on one of the tinier stickers on one of the shoulder pads, and it just ripped in half. So unfortunately, it's not on the kit. I just tossed it out. You can see it's right there. That's the shoulder pad. There should be a a line kind of like on the knee going down, but I unfortunately ripped the sticker. I did order some other kits that are kind of heavy on stickers, which a lot of people hate those kits for that reason, but I want to practice putting stickers on more just because I think it's something I need to get better at to make some of these kits look better, even if they don't have too many. You can see me putting on the backpack there. At some point, I don't know if you can see it yet, I put on a part of the backpack, like, upside down. You can probably see it. This is everything all put together. It's in, Barbatos is in first form right now. And I cut out the mace, and I gave him the mace just because I thought it was a kind of more, you know, interesting weapon you don't commonly see in Gundam shows. I think, honestly, this is the first time we've ever seen a Gundam with a mace, was Iron-Blooded Orphans. Put the katana on the back. You can see I put the left part of the backpack there on upside down, so the little hinge is going backwards. And then I just put this kit on a book that I had laying around, so I can kind of get a nice 360 view of it. I kind of wanted to go for a little more of like an aggressive pose with the kit when everything was said and done, but I didn't really like how the grip on the right hand was with this mace. It wiggled around a lot. I thought it'd be a little bit tighter, a little bit more secure, but even the slightest breeze would start to wiggle that mace around, and I didn't want to just do it in a pose like I had at the start where it's just, you know, heavy part is on the ground. So I eventually settled on the katana, and you can see I put the shoulder pad on and replaced the arm to change it into its fourth form. I actually changed it from this, where it's not even, as it is on my shelf right now, not even kind of doing that knee out aggressive pose. It's kind of more just standing up straight and then kind of looking to the side, and has the katana kind of behind it a little bit like I'm showing off right now. So yeah, that's the HG Gundam Barbatos. Really enjoyed it as a first building experience. I kind of fucked up in terms of the stickers, like I said, but all things said, I thought it was a really great intro to the hobby. I'm happy with it. It's probably the worst kit I've made so far, but I think that's less to do with the quality of the kit itself and more I just kind of fucked up and probably should have taken things a little bit slower. So if you're interested at all at getting into this thing and maybe trying out a Gunpla kit or two, I would highly recommend Barbatos as a first kit. I think it's a real good place to start, assuming you like Barbatos. If you're not a fan of the design, just go for something that's a similar price range. You'll probably be happy with it. Alright, let me know any feedback you have regarding this first episode of Build and Chill. Hope you all enjoyed it.